Hi, this is Jim Jordan with the Oregon Energy Healing Center, and today I have the pleasure of speaking to one of my new good friends and one of our volunteers at the Energy Enhancement System, our center in Talent, Oregon, Diana Kuhlke. Welcome to our discussion. Diana, is that how you pronounce your last name?
No,
Kuhlke, sorry.
Kalki. That's okay.
Mistake number one, but we'll
Yeah, no worries.
Diana Kuhlke. So Diana, I understand that you have a an interesting background. You come from a background in engineering and electronics, but because I remember I've worked with you in those areas when we had to deal with some things to fix with our energy enhancement system. You're very
Yeah,
mechanically inclined,
yeah.
but it sounds like at a certain point you kind of felt that that was just not enough connection to humanity and helping people, and you got into the healing profession. So what's your background in the field of natural healing? Why don't you give us a little background on that?
Well, first of all, let me back you up just a little bit.
Okay.
I dealt with, and I know this is part of our topic today, but I dealt with depression throughout my life since I
Yeah.
was a child.
Yeah.
And I went into electronics because it was the only thing I thought that I could do, so on and so forth. But because of the high level of stress in the electronics field, engineering and tech, there's lots of competition in many, many ways.
Mm.
Um, that it just exacerbated my depression. And I was in and out of work multiple of times. And finally, I just got to a point to where I was lacking the heart in a business. And so that's when I left and I started going to school for biofeedback college. I was
Okay.
40 some years old.
Okay.
And and at that time it was my avenue to get into working with people
Got it.
because that's where my heart lived. And I wanted to do massage therapy because I had, oh, I'm sorry.
What's that?
I just hit something on the,
Oh no,
just a
nothing
second.
happened on the screen. It's okay.
Okay, good.
Okay, I'm
I'll
good.
leave my hands off the keyboard.
That's
Um,
okay.
let's see, what was I
You
saying?
got you got into massage therapy and then you studied.
Oh,
Was it
no, I
after?
started studying biofeedback
About,
first,
yeah, yeah.
but had massage therapy done to me and
Okay.
was in love with it. And so I didn't have the money to go right away. And so what I did is I went to college to get biofeedback because I could get education paid for that way. And I also I was became a nail technician, so I could do that's women's nails and men's also, but I could do reflexology on the hands and the feet.
I
And so
see.
that was my first being able to, my first step to being able to touch people and bring my heart to
Got it.
people and help people with suffering.
Got it.
And I figured if I did something that I loved, it would certainly help with the depression. And, you know,
Yeah.
so that was kind of the stair step. And then
Uh,
when I got married, my was a consulting engineer. And of course, I did tech work along the way, but we ended up in New Mexico where I was blessed with being able to go to school at the New Mexico School of Natural Therapeutics.
okay.
And so that was, that was my in to getting into being able to work with people and in the healing arts. And so that's kind of a little bit about my background and how I got to it.
Well, that's very helpful to understand where you're coming from. And then about a year and a half ago, when we opened the Oregon Energy Healing Center, how did you hear about us and how did you come to us? What led you to us?
Well, I heard about it from a friend of mine, David, and I'm just, I'd heard so many different things throughout the years of this is great, and it was just like, uh-huh, sure, and I just get, okay, that's cool. I'm glad you're enjoying it, and I just kind of let it roll. And then another friend of mine, Lynn, who is phenomenal. I just love her. She's a great counselor. Anyway, maybe people know her, Lynn Conwell. She's been fabulous for me. She told me about it, and you guys are running a special.
Okay.
And that was how it kind of started. So, because my financial situation is not great, but because we could pair together on a package,
Yeah.
and you had a package special, then that I think it was, I forget what it was
The Independence Day special from
no, it was like Labor Day
Labor
or
Day. Okay.
um something like that. It was around the September um
Yeah.
time frame. Anyway, so we got a discount on that between Lynn and Julie. Um, and all of us kind of trying to team up to see what we could do. Lynn and I got a package together. Julie and another gal got a package together. And that's how I started. And then I thought, wait a minute, this is quite a special. So I called my sisters and I said, look, I said, this is happening. And I think this is a next generation healing technology, which I really do. Um, and I said, you guys want to go in on a diamond package? And so I ended up buying two packages, but my two sisters and I went in on a diamond, and Lynn and I went in on the gold package. And I started going with Lynn. I think we went, gosh, twice a week, but there were some times I would do back-to-back sessions, like I do 4 hours at a time.
And tell us about what were the health challenges you were facing. Was it mainly depression that you came in to deal with, and what?
You know, a lot of different things. Depression and whatnot and stress causes a variety. It causes the core of so many things going off in our bodies.
Hmm.
Inflammation and one thing or another, arthritis, uh, IBS, irritable bowel syndrome,
Hmm.
asthma. I've had asthma since a child.
Yeah.
Um, so I've had arthritis to where I've had both my hips replaced and
Yeah.
um, I've had a variety of different health things going on. And but the biggest thing that I am just so impressed with is the depression.
So tell us about that. Like what level was your depression when you started to come in for the EE sessions, and how did it change, or when did it change?
Well, to be honest with you, I had so much difficulty maintaining work because of my depression
Yeah.
and anxiety, and I had PTSD and what do they call it? Clinical depression. I
Mhm.
had depression since I was in grade school. Um, they didn't know a lot about mental health. For my mom's generation, you didn't talk about it.
Okay.
Okay. You
Right.
did not talk about mental health issues. And the thing is, this world, I mean, everybody's dealing with some level of mental health. I don't care who
Yes.
they are,
Yeah.
you know, mental health challenges, whether it's society and what we're looking at in our world, or whether it's within a family network, and not knowing how to deal with stress and what's going on in our bodies and one thing or another. And so, um, yeah, it's just so let's see, what was your question?
How, when you came in, I mean, that you were looking obviously for
Oh,
some benefit, and when you came
right.
in for the EE sessions, at what level was your depression, and then when did it change, or when did it start to improve, and can you describe that?
It's a funny thing, and I'm so glad you guys have the paperwork there now, um, because I don't know when it changed. I just noticed that it's changed.
Good.
Um,
Snuck up
you
on you.
know,
Yeah, exactly.
it's a funny thing, and that's why
Okay.
it's so important that we make a note when we
Yeah,
first
yeah,
start,
exactly.
what we're dealing with, and then periodically make little notes because then we can go, oh yeah, I was. That did happen. That did happen. Otherwise, it's like all of a sudden I realize, you know what? I've said to you one time, I said, dang, I haven't been feeling the level of depression I used to feel. I mean, my
Yeah.
depression was so serious. They had me on three different medications.
Wow.
Plus, I was doing counseling a minimum of once to twice a week.
Yeah.
Um, and I was taking homeopathic supplements on top of it,
Mhm.
just a variety of things. And my depression and anxiety and PTSD, between that and the arthritis in my spine and body, I qualified for disability, full disability.
Right.
So so I was on medication for quite a while and then started weaning off of it. I still am on one, but
But you were on three when you started the your EES sessions?
no,
Okay.
before that, I just got like here because of side effects going on with medications.
Right.
And so I just started dumping them. And under the support of my doctor, of course.
Right.
I
Right.
didn't just go, I'm out of here.
Right.
Um, Even though sometimes you're tempted, but no, it's when you're dealing with those kind of medications, you want to be sure that you do it right. Anyway,
Right.
I was still dealing with depression because it didn't seem like medication ever really worked. That's the funny thing about it.
Wow.
Um, I still dealt with, even on three very expensive, I mean, my medications were over $3,000 a month.
Wow.
And still I was dealing with depression
Wow.
and situational anxieties and everything. So that, I started doing the EES just because it felt good.
Yeah.
Okay. I know that sounds funny, but it did. And I mean, both my friends recommended it. So I just said, okay, fine. So I started going and I noticed immediately, actually, but I didn't associate it with the situation or with the units
Yeah.
right away.
Yeah.
But I would do like two-hour sessions. I'd be out within each one and still sleep all the way through the night.
Right.
I mean,
So you'd
and
fall asleep during the sessions, but you'd still sleep at night. That's good.
exactly. I
That's,
know
that's
it's a
great.
crazy thing.
That's
And,
great.
there was something else I was going to tell you too. Oh, I've also done neurofeedback,
Okay.
and through the neurofeedback, it shows that my brain operates in fight or flight all the time.
Right.
And even my doctor, when I was trying to, because I tried to be losing weight, trying to, and nothing's working. And he
Right.
said, because I operate in fight or flight
Yeah.
status all the time, he said, the cortisol levels are high. I'm not going to drop weight. And I'm
Yeah.
going, oh my God, how do I stop this? A learned behavior. But what I will tell you, when I'm at the center,
Yeah.
I have never felt so much joy in, I know that sounds crazy, but
Yeah.
I I relax, number one, because you just can't help it.
Yeah.
Um,
Exactly.
I just, I just do, and I'll sit and meditate, and then, um, or I just relax and drop off. I do a variety of things,
And how
but
many hours do you come a week now, would you estimate?
well, actually, I'll be honest with you, I've really been naughty because I come when I volunteer now, which is
Right.
a blessing to me. I
Right.
love that I can volunteer because I can share my heart with people
Yeah.
and I can help support people, which is, where life lives for me. And
Well,
but
just being in the room, even if you're sitting in the back chair, if you're volunteering, you're getting the energy from the system still. So
that's right. I mean, you walk up to the front door and you're still getting it,
yeah, you get it
you know.
in the room. So you
Exactly.
volunteer. So it was for a while, I know, because when you're working on your packages, you were coming more often, maybe, for sessions, right?
Oh, right. Well, actually, before I started volunteering, I was coming twice a week,
Yeah.
and some of those were double sessions.
Right. So you're
Okay.
time
And
and
that's why I was so amazed. I mean, because, fall asleep, and about 10 minutes before the session's over, I'm like, okay, it's like my system just knew. And Ulam was there, and I say, it's the craziest thing. I
yeah.
can tell you when it's going to be pretty soon get over. And I go outside and I had some lunch and I came back in, dropped out again the next session. And so it was pretty crazy.
So do you maintain that mood benefit with you even after you had a session you haven't been in for a few days or something? Does that still stay? Is it stabilized for you now?
I would have to say yes. It's better when I go, twice a week.
Yeah.
Um,
Right.
but I feel like I'm healing my brain.
Yeah.
I didn't tell you something either. I've had 9 brain concussions,
Wow.
and 2 of them were termed mild traumatic brain injuries. I'd lost the ability to read. I lost the ability to smell. Um,
Wow.
just a lot of different things. And my first brain concussion, I was 2.5. And
Wow.
so who knows what that does to the brain chemistry.
Exactly.
Um,
Exactly.
so Anyway, I just had to kind of throw that
Yeah,
in
no,
there because
that
I
helps to
forgot.
see like the depression may have started from a physical injury, actually.
Exactly.
Right.
Exactly. And I think also because the way the system works, it helps to synchronize and balance the left and right hemispheres of the brain.
Right.
And because it also takes you from the sympathetic nervous system from what is it brings you into the parasympathetic.
Parasympathetic. Yeah, it takes you from sympathetic to parasympathetic. Exactly.
Right, exactly. And so what it does is that fight or flight uh, uh, trigger in me
Yeah.
kind of calms down.
Yeah. Well, that is the number one experience people have, and you're
Oh,
far from the first person who said that they basically just feel happier
yeah,
being in the system. There's a guy I know that used to come for a immersion package. He'd come all the time. He says, I asked him why he's coming. He says, I just feel really happy when I'm here.
yes.
Feel happier. I feel happier in my life. So I was thinking that too for a lot of people as we come into the holiday season, there's a tendency for more depression to
Oh,
hit. People
absolutely.
are missing their loved ones at this time, or if they're separated from their family, and just a lot of depression and seasonal affect disorder. So this is what I think would be really helpful for people who are seeing this video too, and if they're experiencing depression or seasonal affect disorder, to
Right.
give the EE system a try and give it a good go over the holiday season, to come in once or twice a week and see what
Yeah,
happens to your mood. And of course, there's many factors that affect our mood, our diet, sunlight, of course,
right.
exercise, things like that. But the EE system seems to, for you, it seems to have delivered you a big boost for your autonomic nervous system to regulate and your moods to
Yeah,
balance. So that's what I've seen. Because I've only known you since you've been coming, and
right,
I never would have guessed that you had depression.
right.
So
Yeah,
you seem like the opposite. You seem like the really up and happy and cheerful person. So when you told me you had depression, I was thinking like, oh, that's an interesting story. I wouldn't have known. And
right.
and so yeah, I really appreciate your sharing. Is there something else you would like to share with the people that see this video, from your own experience that that they could hear from you?
Yes. I mean, first of all, you mentioned seasonal affective disorder, also, or seasonal, and I've been diagnosed with that as well. And so it's like, I didn't stand a chance to not get depression, between the head injuries and so on and so
Yeah.
forth. And but I will tell you, I feel like the sunshine from the inside out when I leave the session. I don't care if I volunteered or if I'm sitting into a session, although I do gain more when I am not reading, I'm not doing anything. I'm
Yeah.
just allowing my body to just let the energies, let the frequencies and such do their thing.
Yeah.
And so I turn off and I don't read. I don't, when I'm not doing that, I gain even greater benefits.
Agreed, 100%. Yeah, I really
Yeah,
encourage people to just close their eyes and relax. And whether you fall asleep or not is not important, but just
that's right.
to stop your brain from thinking. And I think one of our volunteers suggested we should have a sign that says, no beverages, no cell phones, and no thinking.
Right. That's cute.
That's our instructions. So I'll talk to Jewel about that and see if we can get that dialed in.
And no shoes.
No, no shoes. That's me. I'm the guy.
Oh, I really do. I so love this center. It really has changed my life. And,
Well,
you
thank you.
know,
I have to just acknowledge you. You've been a huge support to us, and all of you are probably maybe our first volunteer.
yeah,
By volunteer for people who are watching this, what I mean that Diana and a group of women will host the session for you. If this is your first time you're seeing this,
right.
they introduce what happens in the system for you. They hold the space for you, and they help you at the end to schedule and things. So Diana was our first volunteer, and she's been a bit. And beyond that, you've been helping us with things like the technology issues we've had there, and
Yeah.
fixing the fan that was broken once. And so you've been the jack of all trades. And Jewel and I very much appreciate you.
Oh,
We're gonna so yeah, so we'll put this video into a newsletter and send it out in the next
okay.
week or so. And And so for today, I think that's everything we need to say. So thank you, Diana, so much for your time and helping share your story with how the E system has helped you really seem to get a hold of this depression issue. And you're really a very joyful person. So I'm very grateful.
Um,
You've been kind.
Thank you. Well, working with you and Jewel and everyone that comes in, that certainly adds to it as well.
Yeah,
So
perhaps that's good. Thank you.
thank you for bringing this to this area.
Yeah, you're
Appreciate it.
welcome. My pleasure. Well, I'll see you soon. Okay, Diana.
All right.
Have a great day.
You
Bye-bye.
too. Bye bye.